So today I've got all vintage for you guys. Recent acquisitions, all vintage. Let's get into it. Why don't we start off with a beautiful example of the 1954 Redman Tobacco Pee Wee Reese. So Pee Wee Reese, definitely one of my favorite old timers. Dodger mainstay, star shortstop. He was well known as being kind of one of the most steadfast allies of Jackie Robinson when Robinson came up. So this is, the 1954 Redman. I believe these were produced from 1952 to, I want to say, 55. Really underrated cards, I think. Big, beautiful artwork. These are kind of a strange size. They're kind of like the Cons Wieners. Not super easy to store, so I've got mine in this, like, bootleg top loader. I put a card saver in the back and then just put, like, a, one-touch magnetic bag around it. It'll have to do for now. At any rate, they did reuse the artwork for across the years. So, for example, the Pee Wee Reese, it's the same image, but they do make small tweaks. I've considered, now that I have this one, of, like, doing the run of, like, all, 4 or whatever of his cards. So, really nice one there. I do believe these were being tobacco cards from the 50s. I think these were probably the last major tobacco card issue ever. There might have been some very regional ones or something like that I'm not aware of, but I think these are definitely essentially the last tobacco card issue. So the 55 edition. Of course, these had, they're known, kind of one of their defining features is the tab down there that you could cut off, and save up. And then if you sent the tabs in, you could get a big league style ball cap, as it says on the back. Free for you or your boy Redman, big league style baseball cap. You had to send 50 of those suckers in. I don't know, man. That's a lot of tobacco for a baseball hat. But so the 54 Redman Pee Wee Reese, really stoked to have that one. Let's see here. Okay, why don't we do this one? I got a 1964 from the stand-ups. Again, a Topps issue, the stand-ups. Here's the Joe Torre. And I do have... this is my second Topps stand-ups card from 64. I also have the Warren Spahn. So I now have 2... Milwaukee Braves stand-ups. I really love these 64 stand-ups, and I'd love to do the team run of the Milwaukee Braves, but of course, Hank Aaron and to a lesser extent Eddie Matthews, those two players are going to make it difficult if I ever sort of, endeavor to do that, actually. Probably the Warren Spahn at this point, too. But Joe Torre, he's one of those guys where really, really remarkable, baseball man. Hall of Fame as a manager, and was just a really good catcher, too, in his day. So, Joe Torre, of course, well known as the Yankees manager, the Jeter dynasty, the Core 4 dynasty manager, but also just a great catcher in his day. So the 64 Top stand-ups Joe Torre. Let's see here. Okay, this one is really special. Super, super stoked to have this. So this is a 1953 Topps Monty Irvin, and check this bad girl out. I mean, just the centering and the surface, even, the black part down here, this is usually on these 53s. It's very easy for the black part to get all chewed up, and mine, it definitely is a little bit. But the black part is even in better condition, I'd say, than it often is. And just check that centering out. I got this card for a steal. I really did. I got this card for under $100. A two-figure card, so I didn't pay 3 figures for this card. I think I got a steal on it. Beautiful 53 Monte Irvin. And check this out. So I like reading on these 53s, like the dugout quiz. So, you know, they always had this, like, dugout quiz on the back. So it says, which AL team holds the most total bases record for one season? And at the time, it was the 1936 Yankees with 2,703 total bases. However, this is a 1953 card. It's decades old, and that record has since been surpassed. The up-to-date answer to that question is, believe it or not, the 2003 Red Sox and the 2019 Minnesota Twins are tied for the record. They both have 2,832 total bases for a team in the American League in a season. So it is now the Red Sox and the Twins share that record jointly. Pretty amazing because it's the exact same number of total bases. So it's like, what are the odds, right? Let's see here. This is one I picked up just because it was so cheap. And sometimes I'm just like, man, really? And it's certainly not a star player or anything, but, you know, I did not have a 39 play ball in my collection, so I got this 1939 play ball Anthony Cuccinello. And Cuccinello was a solid middle infielder. So he was a 3-time All-Star. Let's see what else here. Career 280, I think, hitter. And he really had a very long, if not spectacularly remarkable career. He played 15 years in the major leagues, so Tony Cuccinello, a bit of a journeyman, but he played 15 years and he had a pretty good major league career. This is just a really nice, crisp example of a 39 play ball, but of course, part of the reason I think I got it super duper cheap. I honestly, full disclosure, I think I paid $5 for this card. So it's you know, somebody wrote that he had gone to the Giants in 1940 on the back. So somebody kind of, whoever had this card back in the day, updated their card, right? Okay, let's see here. I guess, wait a minute, I'll save the best for last. And I've got a couple, oh yeah, they're over here. So speaking of cards that, you know, great, spectacular vintage cards that I got for dirt cheap. I got 2 really nice exhibits. And these are, of course, oops. Don Newcombe and Minnie Minoso. So, of course, the grading companies, right, with these exhibit cards, you know, they always label them like 1940, you know, 1940 something to 60 something exhibits. And it actually triggers me whenever I see that, because you can actually date exhibits quite a bit more accurately than that. Some of the cards you can't date, you have to put a span of a couple years or so on there, but you can really date these cards a lot more accurately than you know, the grading companies generally put on their slabs. So that really irritates me, and I do think that the grading companies' kind of lazy dating of these contributes to their relative the relative lack of interest in these, because of the dates on the slabs are so vague, and I think it just takes away from some of the appeal. So anyway, I mean, enough about that. Let's just look at the cards. Of course, Don Newcombe, Hall of Fame, and Don Newcombe's not a Hall of Famer, but the Hall of Famer Minnie Minoso. And these are, man, now I'm getting tested because I was ranting about proper dating on these. So generally speaking, based on the tint and what is written down here, is how you can actually more accurately date these. The Minoso, I think, is a 57 to 58. Because it's got red tint and the Made in USA down here is, I believe this is, you don't quote me on it, I might have embarrassed myself, but I think the Mini Minoso is a 57 to 58. And the Newcomb, I'm not sure. It's different dating because down here, of course, you might notice on the Newcomb it says printed in USA. And the Minoso says made in USA. So there were various, depending on the year, that kind of little printed or made in USA mark was a little different, along with the tint. And those are some ways you can actually more accurately date these cards. So I really, kind of a small rant, but I kind of wish that the grading companies would be a little more conscientious and just a little more thorough with the dating of exhibit cards. I mean, it's like, you're called professional sports authenticator, right? It's like you have one job. Anyway. Okay, best for last. I'm super excited to have these guys. So I bought a couple of the 1948 R346 blue tints. So I'm going to show you the first one. So the first one is this one, a gentleman named John Corridon. John Corridon. So a little bit of these blue tint cards were apparently issued in strips. I'm not sure where they were sold or distributed. Maybe a corner store kind of deal. They might have had them there. If anybody actually knows that, please tell me. Basically, all I learned was that they came in strips, and these are hand-cut. So anyway, this is John Corridon. He was a dead ball era, as a player, a dead ball era guy of not much note. You know, he played for a few years. I want to say between 1910 and 1915. If I'm remembering my quick research about him. So again, playing career, he didn't really, not much of note, but later on he became a coach in the major leagues, and he was a coach with the New York Yankees for 2 seasons, 47 and 48. He did win a World Series with the Yankees as a coach in 47. A little fun fact about John Corridon, and it's not actually about him. It's actually about his son. So John Corridon had a son who was also called John Corridon. By the way, this John Corridon, he was more commonly known as Red Corridon in his day. But his son was known as John. And his son, it's a little bit of a fun piece of trivia. His son was also a baseball player, and he made 1 appearance in 1 major league game. And not only that, it was as a pinch runner. So his son, John, this John's son, John, made 1 appearance in a major league game as a pinch runner, and that's it. He had no at-bats, nothing. Just 1 appearance as a pinch runner. So that's his son's kind of somewhat dubious or interesting claim to fame. But this is the elder John, Yankees coach. Anyway, so now for the kind of the bigger one of these blue tints. I am so thrilled to have been able to pick up the Hank Greenberg. So Hank Greenberg, one of the bigger stars in the set, number 35. You can see, of course, Hank Greenberg doesn't need any introduction, but number 35, the Corridon, he's number 17. I got, basically the reason I got the Corridon was that it was only, for one, it was only a couple bucks. And I also wanted to, I like this difference here. So these were hand cut. And you can tell, like, they had these blue boxes around them, presumably as, like, a guide for you to cut them out. But, of course, I was going to say unfortunately, but maybe fortunately, because if this Greenberg had been cut out any better, I probably wouldn't have been able to afford it. But it was cut out pretty sloppily, as you can see, kind of diagonal on the bottom there. But I like the difference where this one, the blue border, is just completely cut off, and things like that. So these blue tints, you know, they're not the coolest looking cards around, and certainly this is probably one of the less appealing looking Greenberg cards out there. But it's a Hank Greenberg card that I got for less than you might think. So. Alright guys, well that's all I got for you today. As always, thanks for watching. Peace.